Alright, this is the build that top players are using to get the best ranks in Nightmare Survival leaderboards. I've already done a video on the strategies, gameplay, and coordination involved in getting top rank, and I did briefly show this build, but I didn't really dive into it, so that's what this video is for. This isn't my build, this was developed by a Japanese player called Pipo Pupo 346 Pro, so yeah, quite the name, who is one of the best, if not the best, Ronin player in the world, so all credit goes to him. Before we start, let me say this. This build is extremely good for Nightmare because you can deal an insane amount of damage both to large groups of enemies but also to single targets. The focus on being able to damage the toughest enemies in the game is a bit overkill if you're playing Gold Survival, where AoE damage, such as having the fire ult, is maybe better. In any case, this will still decimate entire waves with very little effort anyway, so you're good for whatever it is that you want to play. If you're also interested in builds for other classes, then check out my playlist, and you can also catch me playing live on Mondays and Fridays, but I don't always play Ghost of Tsushima. Alright. So, the main idea behind this build is that you'll deal the highest amount of damage possible with your bombs while also having a fallback to deal peak damage to single targets. That fallback is the combination of Heavily Strike with Way of the Flame. This will basically grant you the same amount of damage you get from one of those Assassin's ultimate strikes, maybe even more. So let's take a look at the techniques. First off, Healing Incense. This is going to be your only source of healing, but you'll get to use it very often because you'll be resetting its cooldown with the legendary kunai. Next up, we have Enhanced Ghost Weapons, which will increase the damage done from all ghost weapons, and that includes your bombs, kunai, and even Way of the Flame. I've already tested this, and yes, it does affect them all. Next up, we have Resolve Increase. This is going to give you an additional use of Heavily Sword, which is way better than getting more healing or more stagger damage. You don't really need to stagger anyone ever with this build. And finally, Legendary, for equipping the legendary kunai, and Strone Striker, which is the legendary katana that has Heavenly Strike. So let me show you that right now. You want to get Strone Striker to level 110 before rolling any of these specific perks, and what you want to get is Way of the Flame, Oni damage, and melee damage. Oni damage will again increase all damage done to the tougher enemies or the Oni enemies by 10% for any damage source, which is of course really good, and when you're spamming bombs will go a long way at deleting enemies extremely fast. Melee damage will apply to your regular sword attacks, which you should be using just barely, and it will also buff your Heavenly Strike damage just a bit more. For the bomb pack, increased blast radius to increase AoE damage, and status effect damage to increase the fire damage done by the black powder bombs, which is our perk right here. After that, we have a stealth charm with increased damage, status effect damage, and fire master. All of these once again buff damage from both fire and ghost weapons, so basically all your sources of damage. Spirit Kunai is how you're going to reduce cooldowns on everything, so you always have everything available as fast as possible. Spirit Kunai will decrease every cooldown by 15 seconds every time you get a kill with them. So your Healing Incense, the kunais themselves, the Smoke Bomb, and even Way of the Flame, this will reduce the cooldowns by 30 seconds if you manage to get 2 kills with them, and if you do, the kunais get immediately reset, so you can basically reduce your cooldowns by 60 to 90 seconds without much of a problem. The reason this is so effective is due to the Ronin's increased damage with ghost weapons. Without that 50% damage from the technique, kunais deal a lot less damage, making it much harder to kill with them. So I don't really like using them as much on other classes. If you get the proper rolls, the damage increase in the kunai and on the stealth charm mean your kunai are dealing 90% additional damage. As for the perk, you want to use Supermassive because this once again increases the damage done by an insane amount. This is the difference between using Supermassive and using Hidden Blades, which shoots 5 kunais instead of 2. we're talking like a 400% increase in damage or something like that. So yeah, gets super massive. And lastly, the smoke bomb. The most important perk here is munitions, since that creates ammunition drops for your bomb pack. Getting both types of cooldown reduction means you're taking the 120 second cooldown down to around 103 seconds, and if you get 2 kunai kills, that's reduced by 38 seconds. Getting more uses out of the smoke bomb is absolutely crucial because they help you avoid getting shot at by the ballistas, and they also stop enemies from moving past you, and you're also getting your bombs back, so it's awesome. Now I'm gonna show you how this build works in practice, but keep in mind, I'm not a Ronin player, so if you want to see the top level players use this build, I will link to Liquid Drones and Pipo Pupo 346 Pro, which, oh my god, what a name. Their teams are consistently ranked at the very top of the leaderboards each week, so try copying what they do. I will link to their channels down in the video description. The main objective here is to destroy each wave as fast as possible, so you need to run up to where the waves spawn and drop a smoke bomb right in front of them. Once they spawn, you bomb them, but try not to kill absolutely everyone just yet to make sure that you get some kunai kills to reset that smoke bomb cooldown. I do this way too often where I just kill everyone with the bombs. Everyone that's left is super high health, so I cannot kill them with the kunai, and now I don't have a smoke bomb, I don't have the bomb pack, I don't have anything, and that's really bad. Don't be like me and practice getting those kunai kills. After that initial bombing and kunaiing, you should have enough resolve to pop Way of the Flame and use Heavenly Strike on whoever is left standing. Try jumping every time that you use your incense or kunai or pretty much anything else, as this is faster and won't stop you from moving around. The best way to use this build is in combination with other players that are also running munitions on their smoke bombs, because you want to be able to spam those as much as possible. Only use the shrines when you're nearly out of bombs, and try to use the ones that are far away first. I haven't had much time with this build since I only learned about its existence a few days ago, but even though I don't usually play Ronin, I managed to do quite well with my first few rounds with it. The main point is to be able to land those kunai kills regularly and consistently, since that's what really fuels the entire build. Alright, that's gonna be it for today. Let me know what you think about this build down in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, then please consider subscribing to the channel. And as always, thank you for watching, and I hope I will catch you in the next one.